all my Aries friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter and I'm an intuitive astrologer. I'm here today with your December 2024 monthly horoscope. These are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm referring to Aries, I'm referring to Aries rising and being the first house dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Aries sun and Aries moon, as well as if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Aries. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. The end of 2024 is, to me, just as tense and action-packed as the rest of the year. We have Mars going to go retrograde in Leo. It will retrograde all the way back to 17 degrees of Cancer. And that will take place until February 23rd when it will move direct. And it will have another opposition with Pluto. But this time Pluto is in Aquarius. So the conversation will be the 2.0 version of a conversation that was going on last fall. We will see Neptune go direct in Pisces, ultimately changing signs into Aries in March as 2025. And then it will retrograde back into Pisces. This is going to feel very different. We haven't seen Neptune in Pisces since 1862, which was around the Civil War for the United States. Mercury will go direct on the 15th, and we will experience Jupiter and Saturn's second square. But for me as an intuitive astrologer, Mercury is making aspects to the square which are influencing the conversation. So let's open up the chart and show you what's going on and how this is going to play out for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the month pretty much for me, we saw a new moon in Sagittarius on the 30th of November. So for me, the real next big kind of significant day becomes the 6th. The 6th of December is where we see Mars goes retrograde. A little later in the day, we can see right now that Mercury is conjunct the great attractor. The great attractor is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So this is significant to me. And we see that Mercury and the sun are in an opposition to Jupiter. But let me go just a wee bit later in the day. So we have Mars officially retrograde. Now, Mars is your ruling planet, Aries. And so this is going to be a couple of months where you could potentially be feeling very frustrated in your self-expression, in your ability to enjoy things. Leo is your 5th house. It's the house where we see the child, we see romance, we see creativity. And yet Mars's retrograde back into Cancer is significant because of the opposition to Pluto. Right now, it's a loose opposition. We see Venus is conjunct Pluto here. And to me, this is a conversation about self-worth. This is a conversation about, do I really have the skills, the talent? Will people like what I have to offer? How will I, make money and resources? Aquarius is your 11th house. Pluto's going to transit that house for the next 20 years. And the 11th house is a house of hopes and dreams that mature over time. Mars doesn't like to wait. Mars wants to everything now, now, now. But part of this retrograde is Mars starting to go back into an intuitive place and also a healing place from the homeland, meaning from the home environment. Cancer is your 4th house. And as Mars retrogrades all the way back to the 17th degree, which is the Leo degree. So somewhere you're going to be able to revisit and rewrite and rebirth your home experience and learn to trust your intuitive nature more than you trust your mind. And I think this is further evidenced by this opposition that we see between between Jupiter and Mercury focusing in on Saturn. And this is a dance that goes on throughout the whole month. So these two aspects, the Mars and Pluto opposition and the square from Jupiter to Saturn, which involves Mercury. Mercury's still moving around and kind of coming in and out of the square, but they're the theme of the month. So here's Pisces, your 12th house, your house of your ancestral history, your soul's history. Saturn has been inspiring and compelling us all to create a strong foundation with our divinity within, with our inner voice, with the creativity that comes from our connection to the angelic realm, to energies beyond our own physical senses. And the square here is creating tension. And the tension is interesting because we see Jupiter in your third house, Mercury in your ninth house. Mercury naturally rules your third house. Jupiter naturally rules your ninth house. So you're having to move into a whole new direction of perspective. Jupiter is asking for a wider perception of your everyday life and thoughts. And at the same time, Jupiter's having to come off the mountain and start to see what it's like to be a human and have to pay your bills and get to work and all the weird everyday obligations that are involved that then create that monkey mind. I got to do, I got to do, I got to do. Now, here is Mercury in retrograde, reviewing things and having to sort of slow down, try to take in bigger concepts. And the main concept here for Mercury is to start to engage the mind into the dynamic it wants to experience so that it can engage the law of attraction. So that the things that you need, the resources, the money, the people, the situations, the environment will all foster what it is you want to experience. And this is going to take time and diligence, and in some ways, a sense of awareness that there is a responsibility to yourself to birth this aspect for yourself. It'll make you a better human. It'll make you a better Mars-ruled energy. And I say that because you'll feel a happier sense of self. I think this is the Mars transformed energy. And this is only the first week of the month. So it just gets more, to me, this is the theme, but it just becomes more and more apparent as we move through the month. Let me go now to, my goodness, I left my notes way over here. I think I want to go to the 7th. No, the 8th. Let's go to the 8th. This is where Neptune, we'll see Neptune has gone direct. And one of the things I want to point out for my Aries, because I think this is rather significant for you, is the North Node is now in the last degrees of your first house, and it's about to go into your 12th house. Neptune is going to move into your first house, and Saturn is going to get speed up and meet with these 2 points here. So somewhere in the beginning of 2025, the first quarter, you're going to feel a conjunction here. And I believe that it could very much trigger a soul's memory of something within yourself, almost like you start to remember that you agreed on a soul level at this time that you would have a certain awareness, and that awareness is starting to set the tone for the next chapter of your life. And part of you has to be egoless in your 7th house of cooperative partnerships and cooperative, harmonious situations in the human world. You'll have to be egoless to how the human responds to that. And yet at the same time, right now, you have an opportunity to connect with yourself as source energy. As the South Node goes over the supergalactic center, this is a point within the Shapley cluster that offers you that experience of the law of attraction. And what it is anchoring in your mind and your broader thoughts to bring you more wealth and opportunities. And I know it's absolutely possible because I kind of live my life this way, to be honest with you. I just tell Spirit I'm ready to work, go ahead and book the people. And of course, I had to do the Saturnian groundwork of setting up that momentum. Okay. Mars, let me just technically say this. Mars will retrograde from December 6th through February 23rd, 2025, starting at 6 degrees of Leo, culminating at 17 degrees of Cancer before it moves forward again. So we will experience another opposition between Pluto and Mars when Mars moves direct in 2025. So you're going to get some you're going to get a sense of it, a flavor of it now. And again, I want to emphasize something to do with birthing a 2.0 version of yourself that's more aligned to your dreams, that gives you an opportunity to receive the bounty that you need from the universe to support your forward motion. We're going to go to the 15th now, and Mercury will move direct. And we'll start to do the dance again with Jupiter. Now they're not considered in opposition now, as they're almost 10 degrees apart. But as we move forward, we're going to feel that tighter and tighter, and we're going to revisit that T-square towards the end of the month. So as you're aware of that, you can sort of set the tone for spirit. And the South Node is directly on the supergalactic center right now, and it will continue to hover over this point, tasking you to understand your power of co-creation. We'll go to the 19th, where we'll see Venus in a nice trine to Jupiter retrograde, 14 degrees. And this feels very lovely to me because it feels like this is about money, and it's about thinking about the 2.0 version. It's at the Venusian degree. So there's this idea of, it's actually the Taurian degree of Venus. So it feels very much about using my skills, my voice, my knowledge, what I have garnished, maybe even my philosophies, and birthing something using technology. Not everybody's going to be a content creator, but we're going to see a lot of people creating content that others resonate with. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities. We see the growing opposition between Pluto and Mars. And again, there's a big significant change between Mars, your ruling planet, when it's in a fire sign, and then when it moves back into emotional Cancer. So you could find yourself feeling very hot and then inadvertently feeling very defeated, depending upon how you play this out individually, because we all have free will. That is a God-given right. We will see that this exact trine between Venus and Jupiter, this is the exact day, but we're going to feel it probably from, let's say, the 17th through the 22nd. So that's a good time to take advantage of that energy. And again, I want to emphasize, because the 2.0 version really could have to do with philosophies about your skills versus actually putting them into action. And because Aries is so action oriented, I really want to encourage you to try to slow your roll down so that you can take action and not have to do something over again, or have to revisit something. It's almost as if you start to produce something too quickly, you'll find out you missed a big chunk that's important, and you'll have to start over again. Don't ask me why I'm saying that. I just am. And I think right now, I also want to say that I think that Mercury's trine over here to Mars is pretty powerful. And this has been going on for a few days as well, because that brave thought, and then my willingness to be disciplined as Mercury moves forward, will help rewrite some stories. I hope that makes sense to you, because a lot of it has to do with Aries' intention and their awareness of how they use their energy. Because if you're feeling super frustrated about something, going for a workout or, having a great romp in the sack might actually let a little steam out and help you move your story forward with your head feeling a little more screwed on properly. I don't know how else to say it. Let's go now to Christmas Eve, where we see the exact square between Saturn and Jupiter, and there is Mercury in the conversation. This is the second of 3 squares that Jupiter and Saturn will have. And the first one was when Jupiter was direct. I think I might be repeating myself. I've said a lot of videos. So there's something, again, about looking at things from a different perspective. This time Saturn's direct. So this is about, thinking about creating something enduring and revisiting how I want to implement that, revisiting the expansive nature of Jupiter and how I can actually do that realistically in my everyday life. And then I think that Mercury, as it's going to go on the great attractor for the third time is starting to feel this sort of rhythm of, okay, when I focus on something, I start to see it everywhere. You know, oftentimes when you first fall in love and somebody is, from another state, or they have something that they like, you'll suddenly notice commercials on TV, or it'll seem to be everywhere. This is another subtle sign from the universe about the law of attraction. So Mercury is offering you an opportunity as it sits, in a totally new seat on the zodiac. And it's in its opposite sign from home, having to do things in a whole new way. And Jupiter's the same way. So there's a cooperative, it's almost like, honestly, like this feels like a foreign exchange student to me. Like we agreed to swap homes so that we could experience a new thing and then integrate that experience into my new perspectives. So I think this is really powerful. I think everything's powerful. When I go back on my videos, sometimes I hear myself say, this is significant, this is powerful, but they are. That's why I say it. Okay, on the 27th, we see we have the nodes at 1 degree, which I think is important because we're going to start to hover over this feeling of the nodes changing, which is going to happen in January. We see that we've got this opposition is tighter now between the T-square. And I think this is kind of cute because I thought 13, 14, 15, and there was something sort of rhythmic. It almost feels as if this T-square right now, while it is tense, and we've been in the holidays and we may be exhausted from everything we've been doing, there is a feeling that things are starting to click into place. First, I start with my belief system as represented by Jupiter. Then I start with my disciplined meditations or my spirit walks or my dedicating to my yoga every, week. And then I'm aware of my mind and aligning my mind. And while it's not easy with practice, it brings great, great benefit. Now let's go to the last day of the month, which is New Year's Eve. And I really think that this is a time when I personally, keep myself in a very peaceful place, because the opposition between your ruling planet and Pluto is very intense at the end of the month. It is a knockdown, drag out fight. And this is the last time Mars is going to feel powerful during this until it goes forward again. And Mars is sort of really wanting to hang on to its perspective. And Pluto is encouraging Mars to look deeper. Does your anger serve you? Does your resentment serve you? Does your harsh words serve you? You could be right all day long, but does it get you what you want? Most of the time, it doesn't. Bullying, being overly powerful, it just shuts people down or creates a bigger argument. So the nodes here on the world axis, literally the north node stretching to be the self. This is where the soul comes in and literally experiences that burst of physical energy in Aries. And the Mars is being supported by the north node as well as the south node, because this is where you have to be egoless to your own potential anger and frustration, and to recognize that the anger and frustration that you have is also a beautiful tool that inspires you. And it's sort of like Aries having to understand how to use fire, because fire can burn you and fire can warm you and feed you. And I think that's part of what's going on right now, and what Pluto is doing when it's trying to bring in the 2.0 version of who and what you are and your possibilities and your capabilities in this lifetime. Okay. All right, my Aries friends, my fellow Aries rising. It's not easy to be Mars ruled, and yet there's a part of me that wouldn't have it any other way, because I appreciate my braveness and I can always turn down the heat, but sometimes it's hard to turn it back up. So be mindful, because again, having your ruling planet in such a tense conversation with such a powerful little planet like Pluto, I don't know. I think Pluto wins every time. So I'm going to kind of surrender to Pluto here, and then try to be a hero in my own life by being brave about how I'm showing up. All right, that's it for December 2024, rounding off a very pivotal year. We are going to go into the next couple of years. We're going to see a lot of transformation on a global scale, but very much so in the United States. So as we are aware of that, we can put our intentions out to have the experience we want, while the rest of the world is pushed around by the tides or the herd. Okay, please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit that notification bell, because there's new content going to be coming out. We're going to get a lot of fun stuff done. I'm very motivated now that I've got my foot out of 2024. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Have a wonderful holiday, and I'll see you soon in January. Happy New Year.